The temple bells echoed through the dawn, their metallic song breaking the stillness of the mountain air. Daniel felt the sound pierce deeper than silence, unsettling his chest with an unknown weight. Master Li stood before the disciples, his calm face illuminated by the pale glow of morning. Without warning he declared, "One among you has fallen from the path." The words struck like thunder, and Daniel's breath caught. His heart raced, as if the accusation already belonged to him. Beside him, May kept her gaze steady, while Aaron smirked faintly, whispering, "The path is a fragile myth." Daniel clenched his fists, shame and fear colliding in his chest. Master Li's eyes swept across them, unblinking, like a mirror reflecting their hidden struggles. The silence that followed was heavier than the bells, a silence that crushed Daniel's certainty, leaving him bare before truth. Daniel walked away from the courtyard, his chest still burning from Master Li's words. The mountains towered above, ancient and indifferent, their silence pressing on him harder than any voice. He whispered, "Why do I feel as though it was me?" His steps faltered, each one heavier than the last. Mai joined him briefly, her eyes soft yet distant. She said, "Fear makes you hear what was never spoken." Daniel turned toward her, wanting to believe her calmness, yet his doubt lingered like smoke. From the distance, Aaron's laughter echoed sharp and mocking. Daniel clenched his jaw, unable to drown it out. He longed for Master Li's assurance, but received only silence. The temple path stretched endlessly, every stone beneath his feet a reminder that he carried uncertainty within. Later that day, Daniel sat beneath the old pine tree, his eyes on the shifting clouds. The air smelled of resin and damp earth, grounding him in silence, yet his mind spun. Master Li approached slowly, carrying no weight in his steps, his voice low and steady. "Truth is not found by holding tightly, Daniel," he said. "It is revealed when you release." Daniel bowed his head, shame curling through him. He muttered, "But if I let go, I fear I will have nothing left." Master Li placed his hand on the rough bark of the pine, eyes distant. "Only in emptiness will you see fullness." Daniel felt both comforted and confused. His chest ached, torn between the desire to grasp certainty and the terror of surrendering. In the dining hall, shadows flickered from oil lamps. Daniel sat quietly, his rice untouched, his thoughts louder than the room's silence. Aaron leaned across the table, his voice sharp. "Do you still believe peace can be found in riddles?" His smirk widened. Daniel looked down, gripping his bowl tighter. Mai sat opposite, her expression firm yet kind, saying, "Aaron, doubt does not free you, it binds you." Aaron's eyes narrowed, bitterness rising. "And your blind faith is nothing but a chain." The air thickened, the disciples around them glancing nervously. Daniel's heart beat faster, his hunger swallowed by unease. He longed for stillness, but was trapped in a storm of words. Night settled over the temple, the courtyard bathed in silver moonlight. Daniel sat alone, staring at the reflection of lanterns in the water basin. His thoughts circled endlessly, doubt gnawing at his chest. The silent witness stood at the edge of the courtyard, unmoving, their figure cloaked in stillness. Daniel whispered, "Do you not fear? Do you not doubt?" No reply came, only the sound of leaves stirring in the night wind. Yet in that silence Daniel felt the weight of presence. The witness needed no words, their stillness more piercing than any teaching. Daniel exhaled shakily, realizing the silence was both unbearable and comforting. His journey had begun, though he could not yet name it. Daniel sat at the edge of the courtyard, his gaze fixed on the mountains beyond, their vastness mocking his smallness. His breath came shallow, and he whispered, "I do not know if I can continue." The silence around him pressed like a weight. Mai appeared, carrying a lantern, her calm presence breaking the darkness. She knelt beside him, saying softly, "The path is not abandoned because you stumble. It is walked because you rise again." Daniel turned toward her, his eyes filled with doubt, and asked, "But what if rising only leads to another fall?" Mai's face held neither pity nor judgment, only patience. She replied, "Even a fall is part of the walk." Daniel's chest ached as her words lingered, both a comfort and a challenge. The following morning, Daniel knelt before Master Li, the weight of exhaustion in his shoulders. The air was crisp, sunlight pouring through the courtyard's open gate. Master Li studied him, saying, "You carry your doubts as if they were treasures." Daniel bowed lower, his voice breaking. "If I put them down, what will remain of me?" Master Li's eyes softened, though his tone remained steady. "What remains is what has always been here, unshaken by your fear." Daniel's heart twisted at the words, for he longed to believe them but felt hollow instead. The silence between them stretched, and the sound of wind brushing the temple chimes filled the void. Daniel felt the distance between his desire for certainty and the elusive truth Master Li offered. Later, Daniel crossed paths with Aaron near the temple's outer walls. The air smelled faintly of incense, though Aaron's presence carried only mockery. "Do you enjoy chasing smoke?" Aaron asked with a sneer. Daniel stopped, anger rising in his chest. He replied, "I seek peace, not vanity." Aaron laughed, his tone sharp. "Peace? You look broken already. At least I know what I want." Daniel's fists tightened, his voice cracking as he said, "And yet, why do you linger here, Aaron? If peace means nothing." Aaron's smirk faltered for a moment, but he quickly recovered, saying, "I stay because I enjoy watching illusions collapse." Daniel turned away, his body trembling, knowing Aaron's words cut deeper than he wanted to admit. In the meditation hall, rows of disciples sat in silence, the air thick with incense. Daniel struggled to steady his breathing, his mind restless with thoughts. May, seated nearby, radiated calmness, her stillness like a mirror Daniel could not match. His heart pounded, frustration burning as he whispered to himself, "Why can I not be like her?" May's eyes opened briefly, catching his turmoil. She said quietly, "Peace is not imitation, Daniel. It is discovery." He lowered his gaze, ashamed, the words striking deeper than he expected. Around them, the hall remained quiet, only the crackle of burning incense sticks marking time. Daniel's back ached, his thoughts pulling him into battle, while May's presence reminded him of what he lacked but yearned for. Night fell again, and Daniel found himself wandering near the temple's bamboo grove. The wind rustled through the stalks, their movement like whispers of hidden truths. He stopped when he saw a cloaked figure ahead, the ephemeral stranger, eyes glinting beneath the hood. The figure spoke, voice low and cryptic. "The tighter you hold your doubt, the heavier it grows." Daniel frowned, stepping closer. "Who are you?" he demanded, but the stranger only smiled faintly. "I am no one. I am everyone." Before Daniel could respond, the figure turned, vanishing into the shadows of the grove. Daniel's heart raced, his chest heaving. He stood frozen, unsure if the encounter was real, or a dream woven into the night air. The morning sun broke through the temple windows, flooding the meditation hall with sharp beams of light. Daniel knelt before Master Li, his knees aching on the wooden floor. The master spoke firmly, "You will sit until the self you cling to breaks." Daniel's stomach tightened, his breath uneven. "And if I fail?" he asked, voice trembling. Master Li replied calmly, "Then you will sit again." The weight of the words struck Daniel harder than any punishment. His pride recoiled, anger rising as his mind screamed against the stillness demanded of him. The hall grew unbearably silent, the sound of his ragged breathing magnified in his ears. He felt trapped, like a bird pressed into a cage without end. Hours passed, and Daniel's body grew heavy with pain. His legs throbbed, his spine burned, and sweat trickled down his temples. The silence of meditation became unbearable, every thought screaming louder. He gritted his teeth, whispering to himself, "I cannot hold this." His shoulders slumped, his head bowed, and the shame of failure gnawed at him. He imagined Aaron's mocking smile and Mai's calm serenity, each vision cutting him deeper. His chest rose sharply as he forced one last breath of defiance, but his body gave way, collapsing forward. The hall echoed with the dull sound of his fall, leaving only the scent of incense to accompany his defeat. As evening fell, Daniel limped into the courtyard, his body sore and pride shattered. Aaron stood waiting, leaning against a stone pillar, a smirk carved on his lips. "So the mighty seeker breaks at last," Aaron mocked, his voice sharp as a blade. Daniel clenched his fists, his anger sparking. "At least I tried," he spat, trembling. Aaron stepped closer, his eyes narrowed. "And what did it give you? Pain? Humiliation? You chase shadows while the world offers solid ground." Daniel's chest heaved, torn between fury and despair. He turned away, refusing to answer, though Aaron's laughter followed him into the dark, echoing louder than the bells. That night, Daniel wandered beyond the temple gates, drawn to the edge of the forest. The air was heavy, the wind rustling leaves like whispered doubts. From the shadows, the ephemeral stranger emerged, cloaked and silent. His voice slid through the air like smoke. "You fight yourself more than the world fights you." Daniel stiffened, asking, "Why do you follow me?" The stranger tilted his head, eyes glinting faintly. "I am not behind you, I am within you." The words unsettled Daniel, filling his chest with dread. He reached forward, but the figure stepped back into the mist, dissolving into the night as quickly as it appeared, leaving Daniel alone with the echo of his own fear. Back in his chamber, Daniel lay restless on the straw mat, his body aching, yet his mind sharper than ever. As he closed his eyes, visions swelled. From the corners of his memory, the shadow emerged, an echo of his past self. Its face mirrored his own, yet its eyes burned with shame and guilt. The voice was low, cruel. "You will never be free. You carry me wherever you go." Daniel's breath quickened, his chest heavy as he whispered, "You are not me." But the shadow's laughter filled the room, chilling and hollow. He sat upright, drenched in sweat, the lantern's flame flickering wildly, as if shaken by his terror. Daniel returned to the meditation hall, shaken from the vision of his shadow. The hall felt colder, the incense heavier, and silence pressed into his bones. He sat cross-legged, his eyes closed, but the image of his own face, twisted in shame, lingered. His chest ached, and his breath came uneven. He muttered softly, "Why does my past still hold me captive?" The silence offered no answer, only the weight of his question. His body trembled, and for a moment he thought he might break again. Then beneath the noise of his thoughts, a faint stillness stirred, an unfamiliar quiet that seemed to whisper not resistance, but release. For the first time, Daniel wondered if surrender was not weakness but strength. Later, Daniel stood before Master Li, his eyes hollow from sleepless nights. The master studied him quietly, the silence itself a teaching. Then in his calm voice he said, "Your pain is not failure, Daniel. It is your grip upon what you think must be." Daniel's throat tightened as he asked, "Then my suffering was never the brokenness itself?" Master Li nodded slowly. "It is the clutching of illusions that binds you." Daniel's breath faltered, the words unraveling the weight he carried. He realized he had fought shadows, not truth. A tear slid unbidden down his cheek, not of despair but of recognition. For the first time, the burden felt lighter, though he knew the path ahead was not yet complete. As dusk fell, Daniel found Aaron sitting alone near the stone lanterns. For once, Aaron's usual smirk was gone, his shoulders heavy with an unseen weight. Daniel approached cautiously. Aaron muttered, "You think I mock you because I despise you? No. I mock because I despise myself." Daniel froze, taken aback. Aaron's voice cracked. "I built my life on things that crumble, and I cannot bear to see your hope." Daniel's anger softened, though doubt lingered. He replied quietly, "We are both broken, Aaron, but maybe brokenness is not the end." Aaron turned sharply, forcing a grin back onto his face. "Keep your riddles. They will not save you." Yet his eyes betrayed the fear beneath his words. Daniel later spoke with May by the temple gardens, the air filled with the scent of pine and the rustle of leaves. Her eyes reflected both serenity and sorrow. She confessed quietly, "I walk in peace, but it is not because I am untouched. My family was lost in the flood, and I carry that silence each day." Daniel's chest tightened as her voice wavered, though her face remained composed. She continued, "Peace is not the absence of wounds. It is learning not to live inside them." Her words pierced him, reshaping his view of her calmness. He bowed his head, realizing May was not perfection made flesh, but a mirror of struggle transformed into strength. That night, Daniel entered the meditation hall again, but this time his eyes fell on the silent witness seated in the far corner. The man did not move, did not speak, his posture unbroken by time. Daniel sat across from him, searching for meaning in the stillness. Hours passed, yet no word was spoken. At first, Daniel's mind screamed with impatience, but slowly, the chaos dulled. The stillness of the witness seeped into him like water into dry soil. Daniel whispered at last, "Is this what I have been seeking all along?" The witness remained silent, eyes half closed, his presence radiating the answer Daniel had never found in words. Daniel sat once more in the meditation hall, his body trembling with exhaustion. Hours passed, the silence a relentless storm against his mind. His back screamed, his knees throbbed, and his heart pounded like a trapped bird. He whispered through clenched teeth, "I cannot endure this pain." Sweat dripped from his brow as his pride cracked. His breath broke into ragged sobs, each inhale sharper than the last. The weight of failure pressed harder than any physical wound. For the first time he did not resist the collapse but surrendered to it, falling forward onto the wooden floor. His chest heaved, tears spilling freely. The silence that once crushed him now wrapped him like a veil. In his collapse, Daniel realized surrender did not destroy him, it freed him. As Daniel lay trembling, his mind drifted into shadow. From the darkness of his memory, the shadow appeared again, his mirror self, fierce and accusing. Its voice echoed inside his skull. "You are nothing without me. You cannot let me go." Daniel raised his head weakly, tears still on his cheeks, whispering, "I am not bound to you anymore." The shadow's hollow laugh filled the space, but this time Daniel did not recoil. His chest burned with fear, yet he leaned toward it. "You are only what I carried," he said firmly. The shadow's form flickered, its sharp edges dissolving into mist. Daniel gasped as the figure vanished, leaving the silence whole again. For the first time, his past no longer owned him. Breathing heavily, Daniel remained kneeling, the silence around him no longer an enemy. His chest rose and fell slowly, his tears drying into lines of release. He whispered into the quiet, "If this is emptiness, then it is lighter than I imagined." The air in the hall seemed to shift, not colder or warmer, but weightless. His body no longer resisted the stillness but settled into it. His thoughts scattered, leaving only presence, pure and unmoving. For the first time he did not crave an answer, nor did he fear the silence. Daniel bowed his head fully to the floor, his breath even. In his surrender, he discovered a strength that came not from control, but from letting go. When Daniel emerged from the hall, the courtyard glowed in the light of sunset. The world looked unchanged, yet everything within him felt new. Aaron stood watching, arms crossed, his smirk absent. "So you survived," Aaron said bitterly, but his tone lacked strength. Daniel met his eyes, not with anger, but with calm. "I did not survive," he answered. "I let go." Aaron frowned, unsettled, his words faltering. "And what does that give you?" Daniel's lips curved into the faintest smile. "Peace." Aaron turned away, his fists tightening as if he wanted to argue but could not. Daniel felt no urge to fight, for the storm within him had finally passed. As night fell, Daniel sought Master Li beneath the great pine tree. The lantern light flickered softly against the bark. Master Li watched him in silence before speaking. "You look lighter, Daniel." Daniel bowed deeply, saying, "I thought I had to fight my weakness, but I see now it was my clinging that made me weak." The master's eyes gleamed with approval, though his face remained calm. "To fall is to learn the ground, to let go is to rise." Daniel lifted his head, a quiet smile forming. The world no longer felt suffocating. For the first time he was not chasing peace, it lived already in his breath. The night air, once heavy, now felt like freedom. The morning air was cool as Daniel walked through the temple grounds. The leaves shimmered with dew, each drop catching the sunlight like small jewels. For the first time he did not look down with shame, but walked upright, his breath steady and full. Disciples passed by, their glances curious, but Daniel felt no need for their approval. His mind, once tangled with doubt, now rested in quiet presence. He whispered to himself, "I am here. That is enough." Every step felt lighter, each sound clearer. The rustle of leaves, the calls of distant birds, the soft flow of water through the garden stream. The world had not changed, yet Daniel's way of seeing it was entirely new. Daniel paused near the bamboo grove, listening as the wind carried a soft, rhythmic sway. The sound no longer stirred unease, but peace, like the earth itself breathing. He knelt beside the grove, running his hand across the cool stones. He whispered, "This silence no longer weighs on me. It carries me." A butterfly fluttered past, fragile yet free, and Daniel followed it with gentle eyes. He realized that what he once resisted in stillness now revealed the beauty around him. Every movement of the wind, every flicker of light, seemed to breathe with him. For the first time, silence was not emptiness. It was presence alive in every soundless moment. Aaron stood alone by the temple gates, staring out toward the distant village. His face was harder than usual, his jaw clenched, yet his eyes betrayed uncertainty. Daniel approached, but this time he did not carry anger. He said quietly, "You look beyond these gates, but do you ever see what is here?" Aaron scoffed, though his voice wavered. "The world outside is real. This place is illusion." Daniel's tone held no judgment. "If peace is illusion, why does your heart still seek it?" Aaron turned sharply away, fists tight, but the strength in his defiance had faded. Daniel left him with silence, knowing his words had touched a wound Aaron had long tried to bury. Later, Daniel found Mai near the stream, her robe glowing faintly in the afternoon light. She looked up at him with a smile touched by quiet relief. She said, "I see something different in you now." Daniel bowed gently, replying, "I no longer fight the silence, I walk with it." Mai's eyes softened, though the sadness within them still lingered. "Then you understand what it means to carry wounds, and yet not be broken by them." Daniel nodded, his heart swelling with respect. He saw her not as untouchable serenity, but as a companion walking the same imperfect path. The water flowed between them, its sound reminding them both that peace was always moving, never still. As evening descended, Daniel returned to the meditation hall. The silent witness was there again, seated as ever in perfect stillness. Daniel sat across from him, his body calm, his mind no longer wrestling. Hours passed in silence, but this time it was not a test, it was freedom. Daniel felt his breath merge with the stillness, his presence no longer separate from the space around him. He whispered softly, "I no longer seek to escape this moment, I am this moment." The witness gave no sign of hearing, yet Daniel understood. The silence between them was no longer heavy, but alive, a living bond beyond words. The sun dipped low beyond the mountains, painting the sky in hues of amber and violet. Daniel stood on the temple terrace, his hands resting lightly on the stone rail. For years he had stared at this horizon and felt only emptiness, but now it opened to him like a mirror, reflecting the quiet within. He whispered, "I once searched for answers beyond myself, but I see now that stillness has been my teacher all along." The air was cool, brushing his skin with gentle clarity. Each breath felt like a gift, no longer a struggle. The world remained vast and uncertain, yet Daniel no longer felt lost in it. He belonged, not by control, but by presence. Master Li approached silently, his footsteps barely disturbing the evening air. Daniel turned and bowed deeply, his heart steady. The master's gaze was warm, his face calm. He said simply, "Your eyes carry stillness now." Daniel rose slowly, meeting his gaze. "You taught me not by answers, but by silence," he said. Master Li nodded, his lips curving faintly. "The silence was always here. You only learned to hear it." The weight between them was not heavy but light, a bond forged in patience and surrender. Daniel lowered his head again, gratitude swelling in him like the breath of the mountain wind. For once, no words were left unsaid. Later that night, Aaron lingered in the courtyard, his smirk gone, his shoulders heavy. Daniel passed by, pausing when their eyes met. Aaron muttered, "I do not understand how you endure this place." Daniel's voice held no judgment. "I do not endure, Aaron. I simply am." Aaron scoffed, but his tone lacked conviction. His gaze wavered, as though torn between envy and disbelief. Daniel offered no debate, no defense. Instead, he bowed his head slightly and walked on. Aaron remained behind, silent, his fists still clenched, yet his eyes betrayed a seed of doubt, perhaps even longing, for the peace Daniel carried. Daniel walked alone toward the edge of the temple grounds where the stream reflected the stars. The water rippled softly, carrying fragments of moonlight across its surface. He knelt, touching the cool edge of the stone basin. His voice was barely a whisper, yet it carried into the night. "I am not lost. I am here." The words did not echo. They dissolved into the air as if the earth itself absorbed them. For the first time, Daniel felt no fear of silence, no hunger for answers. Presence was enough. His reflection in the water no longer looked like a stranger, but like someone he finally knew. The night deepened, the temple cloaked in stillness. Daniel sat beneath the great pine tree where his journey had begun, lanterns flickering faintly in the distance. The silent witness sat nearby, unmoving as always, his presence filling the air with quiet strength. Daniel closed his eyes, letting his breath settle into rhythm with the night. In that silence, he no longer sought to hold or to release, he simply was. The whisper of the wind in the branches above became his teacher, the cool earth beneath his body his anchor. Time seemed to vanish, leaving only stillness. In that stillness, Daniel had found not an ending, but a beginning that had always been waiting within.